All right, so we're going to get started, and we're going to do this section a little bit different. It's the afternoon, and you're probably getting a little tired, so we're going to play the Cover Crops game show and Soil Health game show. So what we're going to do, you're all going to have to be interactive. I need you to take a piece of paper. Hopefully we have enough. We'll share those. Grab one, and then pass them towards the back. And if we don't have enough and you have your own piece of paper, take one of those. And so as I started with Extension just about 5 years ago, I found out that I was the newbie to Cover Crops and Soil Health. I had taught high school agriculture, but I felt like we've got to do something. Farmers come to these meetings and they sit and they listen and they absorb, but sometimes they don't ever get to interact and ask questions. And so I'm going to take you through a few things. We're going to identify some resources that are out there for you. We're going to share your thoughts, and that's where you have to be interactive. I expect you to try. And again, we're going to be in teams, so team 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so we'll be in these teams. I want you to eventually take away some idea, and then I want you to share your story. I value each one of you, whether you are a farmer, an agribusiness person, a researcher, and you're just here to learn. You each have an important job. And so sharing your story is very important. So we're going to take a few minutes to identify some of those resources that we have for some of the research that we're doing. And so everyone through Extension didn't send me all their research. I didn't get all the NRCS. I didn't get all the soil and water research. But what I have is what I was given. So those research reports are available if you're looking for those places. We have a new publication called eFields, or our peer-reviewed research is at our Ag Crops team website. And so those two resources are right there. Those websites are here, and if you want this PowerPoint presentation, I know we'll have it on CTC's website eventually. But let me tell you a little bit about those. eFields is new. It's driven by a collaboration between extension educators and state specialists and farmers. It uses our OSU Plots app, and so even though this slide's a little bit ahead of the other one, it uses that Plots app. And what that is that's a farmer-based app. It's a quick turnaround of a summary of results in short-term projects right now. And so we have our 2018 data already out there. There's booklets. They're actually available over in some of the other sessions for all the research we're doing through Extension. Oops, and we went too fast. That Ag Plots app, if you are an app user, that's for each one of you. You can download that. It's on Google Play and at the App Store. What that does, farmer-to-farmer research is probably one of the best things you can use. This was developed to help you keep your own data. You can set up your own research projects. You can track results within this. And then eventually, if you ever want to partner with Extension, we'll partner with you. If you need help setting up a research project and you say, I've got this idea, this gives you a chance to put that in there, but maybe you need some replication, or you may need some variability, or maybe someone's doing that exact same project in another county or even within your own county. We can use that to help you resource those. Some of our longer-term projects, those are peer-reviewed. If you look at this, our Ag Crops Network, that's where our corn newsletter is. But it's underneath that on-farm resource, or on-farm research. And again, that is all the projects that we have going on, whether it's Cover Crops and Soil Health. It also has everything we're doing in Extension as far as long-term research. So some of the things that we know we're doing right now in Ohio through Extension, we have some interseeding research projects. We definitely have cover crop growth in organic systems. We have red clover research out there, cover crop termination research, cover crop seeding after manure application. We have some legume versus non-legume research, cover crops in vegetable production, summer seeding of cover crops in soybeans and corn, soil health survey to develop recommendations based on in-field analysis. We have selecting versatile winter cover crops for continuous no-till corn, soybean rotations. We have a response to long-term no-till and crop rotation on soil health with and without cover crops. We have a SHARP site that's actually close to here in Putnam County. and that's long-term tillage and the use of cover crops. So it was long-term tillage. They moved that into cover crops. We have research on measuring soil compaction with or without cover crops. We have those edge of field studies that are measuring different scenarios, again, manure, cover crops, and their effect on soil health. We have corn response to nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium with sulfur after winter rye. And then those edge of field studies, again, that we have, and those are paired sites throughout Ohio. Some of those sites are starting that 4th year, and those are with NRCS and ARS, that research. And so we're looking at a lot of different scenarios, and now that we have that background data, we're at the point where, with the 2 side-by-side comparisons, we're starting to change one side of that study on each of those 30 sites. And so those are all over Ohio. The other thing we're doing a lot of education out there, and you're at one of those big things. Conservation Tillage Conference, if you're looking for education or different opportunities in Ohio, no-till field days and workshops throughout Ohio. Dave Brandt has his cover crops workshop typically in April as one of those things. We're doing some advanced soil ecology and soil health workshops. We actually even have a youth soil health challenge. If you're going to the Small Farm Conference in Northwest Ohio, we'll be doing that soil health challenge with youth. And then there's a lot of webinars through NRCS on soil health. Again, we're collaborating with the Soil Health Nexus. There's a series on soil health videos. There's the Nature Conservancy partnered field days in Ohio, cover crop workshops, cover crop roundtables. We've revised those tri-state fertilizer guides, and you'll see some of that information tomorrow. We've got small-scale summer field days on cover crops throughout the state. And there's a lot of things out there, and sometimes it's hard to find those. So some other places you can look to find this information. Our soil health website, so soilhealth.osu.edu. There's a lot of information. That also duplicates and goes into a little more specific, those cover crop researches that we are doing. And so you can find a lot of different things. If you're looking for that Youth Soil Health Challenge, it's underneath 4-H Youth over here. If you want to share that with someone, and if you need those resources, you definitely can contact me. Another place we have is the Ag Best Management Practices, and it's agbmps.osu.edu. That's a newer website. It actually started last year. And what we have are critical concerns if you're having problems, soil health, water quality, cover crops. We'll look at those critical concerns, and then on that partner side is the best management practices, or how to cover those different things. The other thing is, if you are one of those fertilizer applicators in Ohio, or you need some more information on what's the rules and regulations, nutrieneducation.osu.edu is the website for that. Again, if you need anything on fertilizer certification, recertification, you need some resources, looking at those different technologies you're using, that's one. The other one that's kind of older but newer, moved to a new place, is our farm office. So if you're looking for things with legal issues or budgeting and taxes, that's underneath that farmoffice.osu.edu. One of the things we're actually working on is making sure in some of those corn, soybean, and wheat budgets that there's a line for those cover crops, so you can look at that whole budget analysis and see what's that cost that I need to input. And we are working slowly but surely on a cover crop budget, just so if you are seeding cover crops, you can see that budget. The other thing is, if you need all of our local extension offices, if you're not sure where those are, it's just that countyname.osu.edu. So if it's putnam.osu or hardin.osu.edu, that's how our county websites are. You might find specific in-county research underneath each one of those websites that are a little more specific to what you're looking for. And then the School of Environmental and Natural Resources has some additional research. That's not everything that we have for Ohio State. But now's where we get into our game show. We have those publications, and if you want one of those, if you go to your local Soil and Water, we have a new publication. It's Ag Best Management Practices. Those should be available to you at no cost. Those were sent out to all the local Soil and Waters across the state. Again, it was a 2018 publication, so it's fairly new, but it was late in 2018. So, the game show. You all have a piece of paper. Hopefully there were enough to get to the back. So I'm going to ask some questions, and here's how this works. You have to write down an answer. I said I need my best participants. And instead of sitting there, you can't just sit there today. And when you get something written down, here's the deal. And it's not fair, teams. My kids will tell you, life's not fair. So I guess get over it. I'm not going to make you move seats, and we're not going to number off. But once I ask you this question, you have to at least write down one thing. And yes, I'm going to collect those because it's no good if we sit here and do nothing with these. After you write down your one answer, I need you to stand up. When your whole section is standing, then we'll go on. So, we hopefully won't be here forever. They can be short answers. I'm not worried about spelling or anything. So, what was that? That's all right. Sorry. Okay. Don't write down one thing. Goodness gracious. I feel like I'm back teaching high school agriculture because that's what I did prior to this. And I'm like, oh, and don't tell me you don't have a pencil because someone probably has a pen or pencil that you can borrow. So share those resources for your teams. All right. So here we go. So what can we help you do? There's lots of things. We've talked about field days, research, education, and publications. So the next question is, what educational events would you like to see? So what's one educational event you would like to see in Ohio? All you gotta do is write down one educational event. It needs to be related to soil health or cover crops. But what's one educational event you'd like to see? Maybe it's something that's there. That's okay. What's that one educational event you want to see? Once you have your answer, stand up. We gotta get whole sections. I'm like, I told you you're not going to sit here today. I said, it's too late in the afternoon to sit the whole time. It's okay. Sometimes you got to think. Oh, we're going to see which section gets up first. I know, you're going to tell me this isn't fair because this one has a lot more people. We're pretty close between those outside too. All right. All right, we can sit down because we've got one section that got everyone standing. Here we go. Anyone want to share with me or cough up your answer of what's something educational you'd like to see in Ohio that maybe is not there or maybe it is here? What's an educational event you'd like to see? Share with me. Oh, now you're all afraid to talk. Yeah, what's something you'd like to see?
I would just like the plight of the farmer.
Okay. Education to see the non-farmer plight of the farmer. Perfect. You're going to end my presentation pretty well, too. All right. Yes. Protecting beneficial insects. Great. Anything else that we want to share? Seeding rates for cover crops. And what? And timing. Seeding rates and timing. Okay. And hopefully maybe we can answer that for you. We have a resource that's available. I sit on the Midwest Cover Crops Council. We do have a seeding rate calculator, and actually starting next Thursday, we're revising that. It's our first meeting to revise that seeding rate. So that's one resource that if you stick with me afterwards, I'll even show you where it is. Any other educational events you want to share? Yeah.
Somebody come out on the farm and one-on-one.
Some one-on-one help on the farm. Perfect. What else? Yeah.
I'd like to see different methods of in-crop, cover crop planting.
So different methods of in-crop, cover crop planting. Great. Different soil types. Okay. Seeding in different soil types. Okay. All right, we're going to keep going. We're going to go to our next question. So, hopefully you still have room on your piece of paper. But what research projects are needed? I want you to think farmer-driven. What are some research projects that you need that are farmer-driven? Maybe they're out there, maybe they're not. Think of a research project. Again, once you write it down, and you can keep it on that same small piece of paper, stand up once you get one. We don't take non-participants today. You don't have to set the whole project up for me either. Gosh, we're in a race. You guys aren't very excited today. But I do see your eyes are still open. You're not falling asleep. We're getting closer. Which team's going to win? Come on, they already have 1 point. They're almost winning again. Gosh, they win again. All right, go ahead and have a seat. So what are some research projects that are out there that you feel that we need, that aren't being done maybe? Cereal rye variety trials. You're very right. Alternative markets for the corn and beans.
Herbicide interaction with cover crops.
Herbicide interaction with cover crops.
Thing you always hear where that works on your soil, but it doesn't work on mine.
Okay, so his was establishment of cover crops on different soil types. Because what he hears is, this works on your soil type, but it doesn't work on mine. Great. Any other ones we want to share? Yes.
Interseeding covers and corn-soybean rotation.
Interseeding covers and a corn-soybean rotation. Anything else? Yes.
Termination of cover crops without chemicals.
Termination of cover crops without chemicals. Good. All right, we're going to keep going just so we don't run out of time. If we were going to have a soil health or cover crop field day, what would you want it to include? So what's something you would want? Is there a speaker name? Is there a topic? I know this kind of goes back to that research, but think, we're in the field, we're at a soil health or cover crops. What's something different than just an education session that we would do, maybe not in the field? But what's a soil health or cover crop field day topic that you would want? Say, was lunch? Lunch doesn't count. Gosh, you guys are just like high school kids. I know. If you have good food, they'll show up. Go ahead and write that down for a second. Again, I want you to stand up. We got to keep you moving. Is another section going to beat that one? They must be speedy over there or something. There's only 3 in that section. It's not fair. I told you life's not fair. All right. I think we got everyone. All right. Go ahead. Anything else you guys want to share with me on this one? What's a topic that you would want to see at that cover crop soil health field day? Yes. Okay, so root pits and going through compaction layers. Okay, interpretation of Haney and PLF tests.
Identification of cover crops so people at least know what they're talking about.
Identification of cover crops so they at least know what they're talking about. I just did that last summer too, and it was actually pretty good.
Measuring soil biomass.
Measuring soil biomass. How do you measure soil biomass? Great. What other ones? I didn't tell you this was a test too, because I'm going to collect your answers at the end. Okay. If we were holding, and I'm going to talk more like a classroom winter soil health workshop, what's a topic you'd want to see? So this might repeat, but think we're not out in a field, we're in a classroom setting. Maybe it's one of Jim Horman's soil health workshops. What's a topic that's not being covered? Or what's a topic that maybe you would want to know a little bit more about? Again, write your answer down. We only have 2 more questions, I promise. Actually, I think you guys are, because we won't count those guys, our moderators at the back. I think you guys... All right, have a seat. Soil health workshop. What topics would you want to see in that soil health workshop? So think again, classroom setting.
I think we always need to stay with the basics and how to fit it into your rotation.
Stick with the basics. How do I fit this into my rotation? Take 2 more. 2 more things you'd want to see at that soil health workshop. Yeah. How is organic matter changing? Okay, 1 more. Clear at the back. Okay, so he said, how do I add things that are not as conventional, like buckwheat, into rotation, and that economic side, am I hearing you correctly? That economic side of that. Okay, great. Okay, I told you. We're going to start with the very basics. If it were a beginning cover crops workshop, okay, I have no experience with cover crops, what topic, and maybe some of you are veteran cover crop users, but what's the first thing you think they need to know? Okay, and so what needs to be included in that beginning? Okay, so if you can write those down for me. We're not going to stand up if you don't want to on this one. Oh, look, We're going to get that one because I know I've got about 2 minutes left. Alan's giving me the 2-minute warning. But you don't have to stand up. But if you want to share your answer, what's something you'd want to see? How do I read a soil test? Good.
How will cover crops benefit me?
How will cover crops benefit me? Anything else? The difficulties of cover crops. The truth. Okay. All right, we're going to skip this one, but if you want to write this one down, because I do want to take those pieces of paper, even if you're writing, your spelling's not right, it's okay. If we were holding that advanced cover crops workshop, what topics would you want to see? So go through. You're a user of cover crops. You've been doing this a while. We're holding a winter workshop. What topic do we need to cover to help you? Okay, so my thing to tell each one of you is, I want you to be interactive. If you've been doing this for a long time, you need to grab that person and take them alongside of you. I know you might feel like maybe you're the only one in your part of the county, but be interactive and help talk about those things. Don't just feed them a line that, hey, this works every time. Be honest with them, because there's a lot of questions. Some people don't even know where to start and what to select. I can't even tell you what they look like because I'm so used to raising corn, soybeans, and maybe wheat. Again, if there's other resources that aren't out there, and I'm going to talk about blogs or YouTube videos, Facebook, Twitter, a mentoring program, economic resources, write those down if you have room on your piece of paper, front and back. I know they're small. But again, what are those other resources? And take something away from today. My best question I heard 2 years ago at Midwest Cover Crops Council, we were doing a panel discussion, and my question for the panel was, what cover crop failures have you had? And I said, we got an answer from one of the farmers, and this has probably been one of my favorite things. Never had a cover crop failure. I've only had educational opportunities, and I've had lots of them in the 20 years I've been doing this. I've learned something every single year. Something maybe that changed, maybe it was weather. But again, I've learned something, and I've had to grow along the way. The last thing I'll leave you with is share your story. You're each doing something unique, and this goes back to that off-farm generation. After I taught high school agriculture for those 13 years, I will tell you, that generation, listening to them, and they were in an agricultural class. I had 243 students the last year I taught. Their connection, when you look at that, it's less than 0.5% of those kids are connected directly to production agriculture. They don't know what's going on. They're scared to death of where their food comes, and they believe everything that comes in on the internet. I'll tell you this. We did a GMO, non-GMO talk. They didn't even know the difference. But I had a kid that came in and he said, my mom and I found this resource, and I bet you can't prove it wrong, that there are fish brains in GMO plants. And I said, really? So, you can't believe everything you find on the internet. But again, share your story. Bring those off-farm people onto your farm when you have a chance. I know it's a risk and it's sometimes scary, but we're not doing that enough, and people don't know where your food comes from. So with that, real quick.
Okay.
Yes.
How do I get my neighbors to come to a field day? I get people from out of state to show up, but I have no county people come to my field day. How do I get them to come?
How do I get those in-county people or my neighbors to come to my field days? I say it's like food. It's just like farmer meetings. No, you got to provide food for them. Here's the thing. It's got to be free. You got to have a snack. I truly believe that. It's hard to get them out there. The one thing I can tell you is, as you look at some of the different programs, Fulton County held a breakfast on the farm, and I know they do that in Michigan. That's been one of the best things and one of the best kept secrets that they have is that breakfast on the farm type program. It brings them to your farm. It takes a lot of time to get those people there. But I think it's kind of a collaborative effort. You kind of take someone's farm and you say, hey, we're going to invite these people. It might take one or two. I say even start with those high school kids and say, hey, it's a field trip, or those elementary kids. Open your farm up to that. I know raising baby goats, I used to milk dairy goats, and we milked almost 100. But the summer, my birthday's Christmas Eve, and we would bring those kids out. I would have July 24th birthday. I told my parents to change it. And so we'd bring those kids out there. That was one of the best things because they got to see what we did on our farm. Sometimes it's getting to that younger generation. Holy cow, in today's world, their parents will come with them because they wouldn't let just younger kids. But I think it's including that generational group, getting them on those.